It was a story that goes back 2,000 years before. Tivit was in the flames of war. The gods were torn apart, and humans trapped in their quarrel were trying to survive. A dark time. No one could boast that they were part of it. It was admitting, at one time or another, to having accepted that bloodshed. Violence for violence. We still remember this goddess who, despite her fierce opposition to the war, had been murdered by her people, accusing him of not taking part in the fight. A tragedy that carries with it its share of suffering. And in all this suffering, sometimes a glimmer of hope appeared before our eyes. This glimmer had long since faded in Aladdis's gaze, his eyes empty towards the ceiling he was staring at. Every time he woke up, he wondered why he was still alive. Besides, he didn't really wake up, since he was unable to fall asleep. He thought back to the looting to which he was compelled by his master. Aladdis, though still young, knew that it was not right. Why did he have to do that? His master knew he hated these practices. When Aladdis showed signs of opposition, then the master would get angry and shout that the gods of Celestia would punish him. The young adept knew nothing about Celestia, yet his threat reasoned in him as the worst thing that could happen to him. The mere evocation of the divine city provoked in him violent impulses of fear, a dull anguish which took him to his heart. So, he surrendered to this odious shakedown, although Aladdis did not really know that it was really about that. The master he served was handsome and powerful, he had no need to resort to such lowliness. Because he was a god, because he was so, Aladdis had no reason to oppose him. The notion of good and evil was defined by the gods themselves. So how could he, a beast, claim to understand the actions of the god he was to serve? For his benefactor, he had penetrated the dirtiest minds. He stole the dreams of his victims, where their deepest desires were hidden. Aladdis was touching intimacy, the purest and most taboo thing. He looked at everything the soul could hold to get the slightest information from it. Reading dreams was the minimum of dreamlike powers any god was capable of. But Aladdis could materialize these dreams into a solid realization, a dream bubble. And when he left with that bubble, the looting was over. And his mission accomplished. Aladdis was kneeling before the throne of Partis, his master. Jubilant, one leg crossed on the other, his fist against his jaw. Although struggling with this young follower, Aladdis was a rare and precious slave. Partis swept away his long blonde hair, darker shadows. He got up with an authoritarian face. He looked at the precious box that the young man handed him, certainly satisfied, but never totally. As a dream-eating god, he needed more, much more. Dreams of much better qualities. He addressed Aladdis like a nobody. It was his favorite technique. The reign of fear was the privilege of gods, and he used it without the slightest compassion. Then, when another god found himself in front of him, he could only show arrogance and contempt. Aladdis was surprised to see his face, usually so quiet, tensing up in front of the individual who had interrupted them. He was tall, thick and upright. A sharp spear in his hand. His golden gaze stared at him, as if he were trying to read through him. Aladdis, still on the ground, looked away. Did Celestia send someone to punish him? Did this man know that he was plundering dreams? He took his courage with both hands, and put himself on guard. He had to protect his master. With a movement of the chin, a solid rock came out of the ground and immobilized Aladdis, who could no longer move. The individual looked at him without saying anything, and then ascended one by one the steps towards Partis. Partis trembled like a leaf. Dream Eater, your path ends here. Looting is highly prohibited, you have stolen women and children. You even had the audacity to attack your peers. You are no longer a god, demon. Aladdis did not remember what Partis had said. Yes, he was no longer his master. He had become less than that. From his exhausted child's gaze, he realized it. At the mercy of another god, Partis was finally only a vain being. And when he was pierced from side to side by the accusing clawed hand, Partis was nothing at all. But then, what was he? Without realizing it, he clung to the clothes of the Avenger. It was him, Aladdis, who had stolen all these dreams. He cried out that he too deserved death, unworthy of all he had done with his life. Screaming like a damned, tears flowed in his face, contrite by shame and anger. You too are a demon, replied the god. When time comes, I will call you like that. Give me your hand, little man, and we will go. Leave your burdens here, this place will sooner or later be destroyed. Aladdin no longer plundered. He followed the light that had just illuminated his gaze.